Today we discuss about mandibular molars. That is the only topic which is remaining. You have studied maxillary molars. Directly you have to compare mandibular molars with the maxillary molars. So you should be clear with the maxillary molars, then only you can understand the difference between the maxillary and the mandibular molars. You know that maxillary molars, if we talk about first molar, maxillary first molar, then it has 5 cusps. 2 cusps are located on the buccal side, 2 on the lingual side, and one more cusp that is located on the lingual surface of the mesiolingual cusp. Similarly, mandibular first molar also have 5 cusps, but their locations are different. Of the 5 cusps of mandibular first molar, 2 are located on the buccal side, 2 on the lingual side, and 1 that is 5th cusp that is on the distal side, that is on the distal surface, right? So 2 buccal cusp, 2 lingual cusp, and a distal cusp. Of the 2 buccal cusp, 1 on the mesial side, that is mesiobuccal cusp, 1 on the distal side, that is distobuccal cusp. Of the 2 lingual cusp, 1 on the mesial side, that is mesiolingual cusp, 1 on the distal side, that is distolingual cusp, and a distal cusp, right? So there are 5 cusps of mandibular first molar. 2 buccal cusp, mesiobuccal, distobuccal. 2 lingual cusp, mesiolingual, distolingual, and a distal cusp, right? So the number of cusp of maxillary first molar and the mandibular first molar, they are 5, but the location of the 5th cusp is different. In case of maxillary first molar, the 5th cusp, that is the cusp of Carabelli, it is located on the lingual surface of the mesiolingual cusp. Whereas in case of mandibular first molar, the 5th cusp, that is the distal cusp, is located on the distal surface, right? So that is the difference between the two, maxillary first molar and the mandibular first molar, right? So by this you can easily differentiate between the maxillary first molar and the mandibular first molar. Now the number of root. Maxillary molars, all of you know that there are 3 roots. Of these 3 roots, the 2 are located on the buccal side and the 1 is located on the lingual side. Of the 2 buccal roots, 1 on the mesial side, that is mesiobuccal root, 1 on the distal side, that is distobuccal root. And lingually there is 1 root, that is the lingual root. Whereas in case of mandibular molars, there are only 2 roots. Of these 2 roots, the 1 is located on the mesial side, hence it is known as mesial root, and the 1 is located on the distal side, hence it is known as distal root, right? So mesial root and the distal root, right? So again, by this feature, you can easily differentiate between the maxillary molars and the mandibular molars, right? So clear? You should be able to differentiate the maxillary and the mandibular molars. There are other difference too, which we study when we study the entire mandibular first molar. Now regarding the size, in case of maxillary molar, if you compare mesiodistal dimension of the crown with the buccolingual dimension of the crown, then in case of maxillary molar, the buccolingual dimension is greater than the mesiodistal dimension. That is in case of maxillary molars. Whereas the reverse is true in case of mandibular molars. Mesiodistal dimension is greater than the buccolingual dimension. So regarding the dimension of the crown, especially the mesiodistal and the buccolingual dimension, if you compare these two dimensions, then in case of maxillary molars, buccolingual dimension is greater than mesiodistal dimension, whereas in case of mandibular molars, mesiodistal dimension is greater than buccolingual dimension. The difference in dimension is 1 millimeter in both the cases, right? So that is again the difference size wise. So that also you should take in consideration. Now regarding chronology and the measurement table, you have to refer the tables from your textbook, that is from Wheeler, then you have to remember it, right? So that we are not discussing. Now we discuss mandibular first molar from all aspects. It has 5 aspects: buccal, lingual, mesial, distal and occlusal. Buccal aspect. When you see mandibular first molar from buccal aspect, what you see? You can see all 5 cusps: mesiobuccal, distobuccal and buccal portion of the distal cusp. That is seen in the foreground. In the background, you can see the tips of mesiolingual cusp and the distolingual cusp. Right? So all 5 cusps are visible from the buccal aspect, and the 2 roots are visible from the buccal aspect, that is the mesial root and the distal root, right? So what you see from the buccal aspect, all 5 cusps are visible, and the 2 roots, that is mesial root and the distal root, visible from the buccal aspect. Why you can see all 5 cusps from the buccal aspect? Because the buccal cusps are at a lower level and flat as compared to the lingual cusps, right? So all 5 cusps are visible from the buccal aspect. So that is the reason of visibility of all 5 cusps. Both the buccal cusp as well as the buccal portion of the distal cusp, they are at a lower level and they are flat. They are not as sharp as the lingual cusp, right? So flattened buccal cusp, they are it is the characteristic feature of all mandibular molars. The buccal cusps are flattened, right? So that is the characteristic feature, right? Now the size. Mesiodistal dimension is greater than the cervico-occlusal dimension. Mesiodistally, the tooth is wide. The cervico-occlusal length is less as compared to mesiodistal width. So that is the comparison of the size, width and the length. Width is more, length is less. Shape of the crown, it is trapezoidal. cervically narrow and occlusally broad. Trapezoidal, cervically narrow, occlusally broad. Now the outline. You have to describe the different outlines of the crown. First is the cervical outline. Cervical outline is convex. Convexity as a rule directed towards the apex. Then the mesial outline. Mesial outline starting from the cervical line up to the mesial contact area is little bit concave. Mesial outline from cervix to the mesial contact area is little bit concave. The mesial contact area, it is located just occlusal to the middle of the middle one-third. In the middle one-third portion, but where in the middle one-third portion? Just occlusal to the middle of the middle one-third. So that is the location of the mesial contact area. The mesial outline is convex in the area of mesial contact area, right? So this is the broad curvature which describes the mesial contact area. Then the mesial outline turns towards the distal side and it describes the outline. This is the occlusal outline of mesiobuccal cusp. Occlusal outline of mesiobuccal cusp. This outline is round. It is convex. Right? The outline, the occlusal outline of the mesiobuccal cusp, it is convex. The cuspal ridges of the mesiobuccal cusp. This is mesial cusp ridge. This is distal cusp ridge. The cuspal ridges of the mesiobuccal cusp, they will not form any angulation. Instead, the cuspal ridges, they meet they will not form any angle. Where they meet, the junction is round. The junction of the cuspal ridges, the mesial cusp ridge and the distal cusp ridge, the junction is not angle. Instead, the junction is rounded. That why the junction is rounded? Because the cusps are flat. Mesiobuccal cusp and the distobuccal cusp, both the cusps are flat and there is no angulation between the mesial cusp ridge and the distal cusp ridge of both these cusps, that is mesiobuccal cusp and the distobuccal cusp. So mesiobuccal cusp is flat and there is a rounded outline. Then this is the outline of the distobuccal cusp. It is more rounded as compared to the mesiobuccal cusp. This is outline of the distobuccal cusp. It is more rounded as compared to the mesiobuccal cusp. Then this is the outline of the distal cusp. It is still more rounded than the other two. That is the mesiobuccal and the distobuccal. It is more rounded sharp as compared to the mesiobuccal and the distobuccal cusp, and it is also little bit more higher or more occlusally placed than the mesiobuccal and the distobuccal cusp, right? So outline of the mesiobuccal cusp is rounded, outline of the distobuccal cusp is more rounded, outline of the distal cusp is still more rounded and more occlusally placed. So this is about the occlusal outline. The cusp tips of the mesiolingual cusp and the distolingual cusp is also visible from the buccal aspect. Then the distal outline from cervical line to the distal contact area, it is straight. Distal outline from cervix to the distal contact area is straight. The distal contact area is located at the junction of the middle 1/3 and the occlusal 1/3. At the junction of the middle 1/3 and the occlusal 1/3, right? So you can see that the mesial contact area is little bit more cervically placed as compared to distal contact area, or you can say that the distal contact area is more occlusally placed as compared to mesial contact area. Although both the contact areas are almost at the same level, but there is a little bit difference between the location of these two contact areas. The distal contact area is more occlusally placed as compared to mesial contact area, right? This is the buccal portion of the distal cusp. This is the buccal portion of the distal cusp, which is visible from the buccal side. These two are the buccal cusp, mesiobuccal and the distobuccal. Now between these three cusps, there is a line of demarcation. Between mesiobuccal cusp and the distobuccal cusp, there is one groove. The name of this groove is mesiobuccal developmental groove, MBDG. Where it is present? It is present between the mesiobuccal cusp and the distobuccal cusp. This groove, mesiobuccal developmental groove, it is little bit mesial to the center. This is the center line. The mesiobuccal developmental groove, it is little bit mesial to the center of the trunk. Starting from the occlusal surface, this groove, it runs in a cervical direction, but its inclination is towards the mesial side, right? So it runs from occlusal surface towards the cervical part, and its inclination is towards the mesial side. This groove ends in middle of the middle 1/3 portion. So this groove, it is a short groove. It ends in the middle of the middle 1/3 portion, and it usually ends in a pit. So termination of this groove, the mesiobuccal developmental groove, it is marked by a pit. The name of this pit is again mesiobuccal pit, as it is present towards the mesiobuccal side. So the name of this pit is mesiobuccal pit. Now between the distobuccal cusp and the distal cusp, again you can see one more groove as a line of demarcation between the mesiobuccal cusp and the distobuccal cusp. The name of this groove is distobuccal developmental groove, DBDG. Right? This groove is long groove as compared to mesiobuccal developmental groove. It also started on the occlusal surface and it runs towards the cervical part of the crown. Its inclination is towards the distal side. The inclination of the mesiobuccal developmental groove is towards the medial side. The inclination of the distobuccal developmental groove is towards the distal side. It is a long groove and it ends near the distobuccal line angle. It ends near the distobuccal line angle. Distobuccal line angle means the junction between the distal surface and the buccal surface, right? So distobuccal developmental groove, it ends near the distobuccal line angle in cervical 1/3 portion of the crown, and it also form a pit. Distobuccal pit, mesiobuccal pit and the distobuccal pit, right? So mesiobuccal developmental groove is a short groove. Distobuccal developmental groove, it's a long groove. Okay. Now the buccal surface is convex in both the direction. In cervico-occlusal direction, the maximum convexity it is in the cervical 1/3 portion. Then the convexity gradually decreases in the middle 1/3 portion and the occlusal 1/3 portion, right? So cervico-occlusally, maximum convexity you will find in the cervical 1/3 portion, where it forms a ridge which runs from mesial to distal in the cervical 1/3 portion, and this is known as buccal cervical ridge. Buccal cervical ridge, which is the maximum convexity of the buccal surface, and the ridge runs from mesial to distal. Now mesiodistally, the buccal surface is convex over the cuspal areas. Over the cuspal area, the surface is convex. In the groove area, you will find a developmental depression, and at the depth of the developmental depression, the groove is present, right? So in the groove part, the surface is concave. Over the cuspal part, the surface is convex, right? So this is about the convexity. Another concavity is present between the ends of the developmental groove, which runs from mesial to distal, just above the cervical ridge. There is a concavity between the ends of the developmental groove, which runs from mesial to distal, right? So in this area, the surface is concave. There is a concavity or developmental depression between the ends of the developmental groove. So this is description of the crown. The size of the crown, the shape of the crown, the outline and the surface features. Now the root. You can see two roots, mesial root and the distal root. Mesial root is curved, distal root is straight. The long axis of the mesial root is straight, the long axis of the distal root is inclined. The distal root is inclined towards the distal side, right? So its long axis is inclined towards the distal side. You have to describe the outlines of the root also. This is mesial outline of the mesial root. Mesial outline of the mesial root, starting from the cervix, it turns towards the mesial side up to the middle of the middle 1/3 portion. Then the mesial outline turns towards the distal side up to the apex. The apex of the mesial root, it is in line with the mesiobuccal cusp tip. That means the apex of the mesial root and the mesiobuccal cusp tip, these both landmarks should be in one line. Right? So they both are in one line. Then this is the distal outline of the mesial root. Distal outline of the mesial root from percussion area to the apex, it is concave. This is the distal portion of the mesial root, which is also visible from the buccal side. This area is the distal part of the mesial root. Distal area of the mesial root, it is also visible from the buccal side. This is the area of the root trunk, that is the common root base. The length of this area, it is 3 millimeter. So distance between the cervix to the percussion area, it is 3 millimeter. So percussion area is 3 millimeter away from the cervical line. This is distal root. It is straight, but it is distally inclined. Right? Both the outlines of the distal root. This is the distal outline of the distal root, and this is the mesial outline of the distal root. Both outlines are straight, but these outlines incline towards the distal side. The apex of the distal root, it is either in line with the distal contact area, or it may be more distally placed. So apex of the distal root, either it is in line with the distal contact area. Distal contact area, which is located on the distal surface of the distal cusp. So distal contact area and the apex, they may be in one line, or sometimes the apex may be more distally placed as compared to the distal contact. The buccal surface of both the roots. This is the buccal surface of mesial root, and this is buccal surface of distal root. So buccal surface of both the roots are convex. Okay. In the percussion area, you can notice a concavity. So concavity extends from percussion to the cervical line. Concavity or developmental depression extends from percussion area to the cervix. This concavity may cross the cervical line and extended into the enamel of the cervical ridge portion of the buccal surface. Right? So continuous concavity from percussion area to the cervical part of the buccal surface is also seen. So this completes the description of the buccal surface. Lingual aspect. From the lingual aspect, you can see only 3 cusps and 2 roots. The buccal cusps are hidden behind because they are flattened and at a lower level, right? So the buccal cusps are not visible from the lingual side. Only 3 cusps are visible from the lingual side: mesiolingual cusp, distolingual cusp, and the lingual portion of the distal cusp. 2 roots are visible: mesial root and the distal root. This is lingual portion of the mesial root, and this is lingual portion of the distal root, which is visible from the lingual side. Mesiodistal dimension of the crown and mesiodistal dimension of the root lingually less as compared to mesiodistal dimension buccally, because the mesial and the distal surfaces of the crown and the root, they taper towards the lingual side, making mesiodistal dimension lingually less as compared to buccal side. Outline of the crown. Before discussing outline, the shape of the crown, it is same as that of the buccal side, that is trapezoidal, cervically narrow and occlusally broad. Trapezoidal shape, cervically narrow and occlusally broad. Outline of the crown. Cervical outline is irregular as compared to cervical outline buccally, and it is deepening towards the apex. Irregular cervical outline deepening towards the apex. Mesial outline from cervical line to the mesial contact area is little bit convex. Distal outline from cervical line to the distal contact area is straight. This is the occlusal outline describing the outline of the different cusps. This is the occlusal outline of the mesiolingual cusp. This is occlusal outline of the distolingual cusp, and this is occlusal outline of the distal cusp. The mesial and the distal cuspal ridges of both these cusps, that is the mesiolingual cusp and the distolingual cusp, it forms an angle which is greater than 100 degree. That means the angle is obtuse. So between the mesial and the distal cuspal ridges of both these cusps, mesiolingual cusp and the distolingual cusp, there is an angle. The measurement of the angle is greater than 100 degree. That means it is an obtuse angle. The angle between these two cusps, angle between the mesiolingual cusp and the distolingual cusp, this angle is more obtuse as compared to the angle between the cuspal ridges. Angle between the two cusps, that is this angle, is more obtuse as compared to these two angles. Right? Between these two cusps, mesolingual cusp and the distolingual cusp, there is a line of demarcation. This is known as lingual developmental groove. Between the mesolingual cusp and the distolingual cusp, there is one groove known as lingual developmental groove. It is a straight groove from occlusal surface. It runs towards the cervix and it ends in the middle of the lingual surface, and usually it fades out. It will not form any pit on the lingual surface, right? So pit formation is not common on the lingual surface. Of these two cusps, mesolingual and the distolingual cusp, the mesolingual cusp is higher as compared to distolingual cusp. The width of the mesolingual cusp, it is also more as compared to width of the distolingual cusp. Between the distolingual cusp and the distal cusp, usually there is a developmental depression. Here there is no groove. The junction between the distolingual cusp and the distal cusp, it is marked by a developmental depression, and sometimes it creates the impression of the groove. Actually there is no groove. Here there is a developmental depression, and sometimes it creates the impression of a groove. The lingual surface is uniformly convex, means maximum convexity is in the middle of the middle lingual. Here you will find maximum convexity. It is uniformly convex in a cervico-occlusal as well as mesodistal direction. The surface is convex over the cuspal areas. Depression is noted in the groove area. At the depth of the developmental depression, you will find a groove, right? So these two depressions are noted. Over the cuspal area, the surface is convex. Cervico-occlusally, the surface is uniformly convex. That means the maximum convexity is in the middle of the middle one portion. Root outline is similar to the buccal side. This is mesial outline of the mesial root. This is distal outline of the mesial root. This is distal outline of the distal root. And this is mesial outline of the distal root. The outline is same as that of the buccal side. The length of the root trunk, it is 4 millimeter. Why the length of the root trunk is 4 millimeter? Because the cervical line lingually is placed more occlusally, about 1 millimeter more occlusally as compared to the buccal side. On the buccal side, the cervical line is here. On the lingual side, the cervical line is more occlusally placed. How much more occlusally placed? 1 millimeter, right? So this adds to the length of the root trunk from cervix to the percussion area. On the buccal side, the length of the root trunk is 3 millimeter. On the lingual side, the length of the root trunk is 4 millimeter. Why it is 4 millimeter? Because the cervical line lingually is placed more occlusally as compared to the cervical line on the buccal surface, right? So there is difference in the level of the cervical line buccally and lingually. So length of the root trunk lingually is 4 millimeter. The length of the root trunk buccally is 3 millimeter, right? So roots appear long from the lingual side. Actually, the root is 1 millimeter longer lingually than buccally. Why it is 1 millimeter long? Because 1 millimeter dimension is added to the root trunk. So actually the root is 1 millimeter long as compared to the buccal side. Apart from this, the roots are narrow mesiodistally. That means the roots are slender, right? So the roots appear longer than the buccal aspect, right? The actual there is 1 millimeter more length, but the roots are narrow. That means the roots are slender, right? So this also increases the length of the root on the lingual side. In the percussion area, you will find a developmental depression which extends towards the cervix, from percussion area to the cervix. It may cross the cervical line and to be extended in the cervical 1/3 portion of the crown. Rest of the area of the root. This is lingual portion of the mesial root and this is lingual portion of the distal root. It is convex. So this completes the description of the lingual aspect. Now mesial and distal aspects. Buccolingual dimension is less as compared to mesiodistal dimension. Shape of the crown from mesial and distal aspect, it is rhomboidal. The crown is leaning towards the lingual side on the root base. Root is straight. The crown is leaning towards the lingual side. On the straight root base, the crown is leaning towards the lingual side. That is the characteristic feature of all mandibular posterior teeth. All mandibular posterior teeth from mesial and distal aspect, the shape is rhomboidal and the crown is leaning towards the lingual side, right? So the geometric shape from mesial and distal aspect, it is rhomboidal and the crown is leaning towards the lingual side on the straight root base. Outlines. The cervical outline from the mesial aspect, it is convex. Convexity is directed towards the occlusal surface. The extent of convexity is 1 millimeter. Buccal outline from cervical line to the mesiobuccal cusp tip. It is maximum convex in the cervical 1/3 portion. Then there is little bit concavity. Then again the outline become less convex up to the mesiobuccal cusp tip. Lingual outline, it is straight from cervical line to the middle of the middle 1/3 portion, but it is leaning towards the lingual side. Then from middle 1/3 portion, it is leaning towards the buccal side up to the mesiolingual cusp tip, right? So from the mesial side, only two cusps are seen, mesiobuccal cusp and mesiolingual cusp. The distal cusps and the distal cusp, both the distal cusp, that is the distobuccal cusp and distolingual cusp, and the distal cusp, these three cusps are not seen from the mesial aspect because these three cusps are at a lower level. So these three cusps are hidden behind these two mesial cusps. So only two cusps are visible from the mesial aspect, that is mesiobuccal cusp and the mesiolingual cusp. If you compare the level of the mesiobuccal cusp and the mesiolingual cusp, then the mesiobuccal cusp is at a lower level, or you can say that it is more cervically placed as compared to mesiolingual cusp. Mesiolingual cusp is at a higher level. Its length is more, height is more, right? This is mesial marginal ridge. Mesial marginal ridge is located at 1/5 the distance from cusp tip to the cervical line. Is located at 1/5 the distance from cusp tip to the cervical line. Again, important characteristic feature is the cervical line. It is at higher level lingually, or you can say that it is more occlusally placed as compared to cervical line on the buccal side, right? So level of cervical line buccally and the level of cervical line lingually is different. Lingually, the cervical line is more occlusally placed. Buccally, the cervical line is more cervically placed as compared to lingual side, right? So level of cervical line is different on the buccal side and on the lingual side. This is the location of the contact area. The contact area is oval shaped. Buccolingually, it is in the center. Cervico-occlusally, it is just occlusal to the middle of the middle 1/3 portion. It is just occlusal to the middle of the middle 1/3 portion. The mesial surface is convex. Concavity is noted in the cervical 1/3 portion. Sometimes this concavity crosses the cervical line and to be extended on the mesial surface of the root. Only mesial root is visible from the mesial side. This is the mesial surface of the mesial root. This is buccal outline of the mesial root. This is lingual outline of the mesial root. Buccal outline of the mesial root, it is straight from cervix to the junction of the middle 1/3 and the apical 1/3. Then from this point it inclines towards the lingual side up to the apex, and the apex of the mesial root, it is in line with the mesiobuccal cusp tip. Lingual outline of the mesial root, It is straight from cervix to the junction of the cervical 1/3 and the middle 1/3. Then from this point it inclines towards the apex. It tapers towards the apex. There is a developmental depression on the mesial surface of the mesial root. Similar developmental depression is present on the distal surface of the mesial root, right? From the mesial surface, mesial aspect, you can see this mesial surface of the mesial root. Now, the opposite surface of the mesial root is distal surface. Distal surface of the mesial root, right? Suppose this is mesial surface, this is mesial root. This is mesial surface of the mesial root. આની જે opposite surface છે, that is distal surface of the mesial root. Now on the distal surface of the mesial root, you will find this similar type of developmental depression, right? So two developmental depressions facing each other are present on the mesial root. One depression is on the mesial surface of the mesial root. The similar depression which is exactly opposite this depression, it is on the distal surface of the mesial root, right? So the central portion of the mesial root, you will find two depressions facing each other, right? So this central portion of the mesial root, it is thin. The buccal and the lingual portions of the mesial root, these portions are thick. The central portion where two developmental depressions are present facing each other. One on the mesial surface of the mesial root, another on the distal surface of the mesial root. So this area, the central area of the mesial root, it is thin. The buccal area and the lingual area of the mesial root, they are thick and the convex, right? So actually these are the two roots which are united by a thin plate of hard tissue, and actually you will find two canals in the mesial root. One canal, pulp canal, is present on the buccal side and one canal is present on the lingual side. Mesiobuccal canal and the mesiolingual canal. The root is single, but the canals are two. One on the buccal side, one on the lingual side, right? So mesial root, it is having two canals, mesiobuccal canal and the mesiolingual canal. Now the distal aspect you have to directly compare with the mesial aspect. Buccolingual dimension distally less than the buccolingual dimension mesially, right? So from the distal aspect, you can see the portion of the buccal surface. The entire buccal surface, it tapers towards the distal side. So buccolingual dimension distally less as compared to buccolingual dimension on the mesial side, right? So from the distal side, you can see the portion of the buccal surface. This is the portion of the buccal surface which is visible from the distal side. In the foreground, you can see the distal cusp. This is distal cusp. This is distobuccal cusp and this is distal cusp. Between the distobuccal cusp and the distal cusp, there is a groove. This groove is also seen from the buccal aspect. This is distobuccal developmental groove. It is present between the distobuccal cusp and the distal cusp. And this is mesiobuccal cusp. Portion of the mesiobuccal cusp is also visible, right? So this is mesiobuccal cusp, this is distobuccal cusp, and this is distal cusp. And this is distolingual cusp, and this is mesiolingual cusp, right? So all 5 cusps are visible from the distal aspect. Why all 5 cusps are visible? Because the occlusal surface, it is slanting towards the distal side. Occlusal surface is not straight. The inclination of the occlusal surface is towards the distal side, right? So when you see the crown from the distal side, the occlusal surface is visible. The entire occlusal surface is visible from the distal side. The entire occlusal surface is not visible from the mesial side. The entire occlusal surface is visible from the distal side. Why? Because the occlusal surface, it inclines towards the distal side, exposing the entire occlusal surface. The distal contact area, it is on the distal surface of the distal cusp here. It is buccally placed. The mesial contact area is exactly in the center buccolingually. The distal contact area, buccolingually, it is little bit buccally placed. It is a small contact area, oval shape, buccally placed, and cervico-occlusally it is at the junction of occlusal 1/3 and the middle 1/3, right? So this is the location of the distal contact area. The cervical line is convex. The extent of convexity is less. It is 0.5 millimeter. Mesially it is 1 millimeter. Distally it is 0.5 millimeter. Again the level of cervical line buccally and the level on the lingual side is different. Lingually it is more occlusally placed. Buccally it is more cervically placed, right? So the level of cervical line buccally and lingually is different. The distal surface is convex. The developmental depression may or may not be present on the distal surface of the distal root. This is distal surface of the distal root. The mesial surface of the distal root, that is the opposite surface of this. This is mesial surface of the distal root. Any opposite surface, that is the mesial surface of the distal root, it is also not having this type of depression. This is the lingual part of the mesial root. The lingual part of the mesial root is visible from the distal side. Why it is visible? Because the buccolingual dimension of the distal root is less than the buccolingual dimension of the mesial root. Buccolingual dimension of the crown and the buccolingual dimension of the root, distally less. as compared to buccolingual dimension of the crown and the root from the medial side, right? So this completes the description of the mesial aspect and the distal aspect. Now occlusal aspect. The crown is quadrilateral from the occlusal aspect. Quadrilateral means it has 4 sides. The crown is buccolingually narrow and mesiodistally wide. You have to draw the center lines. This will be your buccal side, this will be your lingual side, mesial and distal. Take buccolingual dimension, take mesiodistal dimension. Buccolingual dimension should be less, mesiodistal dimension should be more. Draw quadrilateral outline. The buccal outline, the buccal surface slanting towards the distal side. The mesial and the distal surface is slanting towards the lingual side. The lingual surface slanting towards the distal side. There is more slanting of the buccal surface towards the distal side. There is less slanting of the lingual surface towards the distal side. Both buccal and the lingual surface is slanting towards the distal side. But if you compare the slanting of the buccal surface and the lingual surface towards the distal side, then the slanting of the buccal surface is more as compared to slanting of the lingual surface. Both mesial and the distal surface is tapering towards the lingual side. Here you can see that buccolingual dimension mesially more, buccolingual dimension distally less, right? So there should be more buccolingual dimension on the mesial side. There should be less buccolingual dimension on the distal side. So this is the quadrilateral occlusal outline. Now what is there on the occlusal surface? As you know, you can see 5 cusps. There are 5 cusps on the occlusal surface. On the buccal side, there are 2 cusps, mesiobuccal and the distobuccal. Mesiobuccal, distobuccal. On the lingual side, there are 2 cusps, mesiolingual and distolingual. And there is one more cusp which is located on the distal surface, that is the distal cusp, right? So you have to separate the all 5 cusps. You have to locate all 5 cusps. Now exactly in the center, these 5 cusps are separated by the developmental groove. Exactly in the center, there is a central pit. Within the central fossa, here there is central fossa. There are 2 minor fossas, one on the mesial side This is mesial triangular fossa, and another on the distal side, that is distal triangular fossa, right? So there are three fossas. One major fossa which is exactly centrally located, that is central fossa. Two minor fossas, one on the mesial side, that is mesial triangular fossa, another on the distal side, that is distal triangular fossa. Mesial triangular fossa is large, distal triangular fossa is small. Now there are different grooves which are present between the cusp, which divides the occlusal surface into different parts. Between the buccal part and the lingual part, there is a central developmental groove. This central developmental groove is irregular groove. It traverses an irregular course centrally, right? So starting from the central pit, the central developmental groove, it traverses towards the distobuccal side, right? This is central pit. Starting from the central pit, the central developmental groove, it traverses towards the distobuccal side. Then after a short distance, it is joined by another developmental groove. This is mesiobuccal developmental groove. Now again from this point, the central developmental groove, it traverses towards the mesiolingual side. So central developmental groove starting from the central pit, it traverses a short distance in a mesiobuccal direction. Then it is joined by one groove, that is mesiobuccal developmental groove. Then from this point, the central developmental groove traverses towards the mesiolingual side, and it ends at the depth of the mesial triangular fossa, where it is joined by the other two grooves. These two supplemental grooves, one coming from the mesiobuccal side, another coming from the mesiolingual side. And this junction of these grooves, central developmental groove and this supplemental grooves, they form a pit at the depth of the triangular fossa, mesial triangular fossa. This is mesial pit within the mesial triangular fossa. Again starting from the central pit, the central developmental groove, it traverses in a distobuccal direction. Then after a short distance, it is joined by another developmental groove. This is distobuccal developmental groove. Then again from this junction, the central developmental groove, it traverses towards the distolingual side. And it ends in the distal triangular fossa in a distal pit, where it is joined by these two supplemental grooves, one coming from the distobuccal side and another from the distolingual side, right? And it forms a pit at the depth of the distal triangular fossa, and the pit is distal pit, right? Again starting from the central pit, between the two cusps, two lingual cusp, mesiolingual cusp and the distolingual cusp, there is another groove. This is lingual developmental groove. Right? So central developmental groove, it is an irregular groove. It separates the buccal portion and the lingual portion. These two grooves, mesiobuccal developmental groove and the distobuccal developmental groove, it separates these three cusps. Between the mesiobuccal cusp and the distobuccal cusp, there is mesiobuccal developmental groove. This mesiobuccal developmental groove crosses the occlusal surface to be present to be on the buccal surface as the mesiobuccal developmental groove. This is distobuccal developmental groove present between the distobuccal cusp and the distal cusp. This groove also crosses the occlusal surface and it is to be present on the extended on the buccal surface, right? This is lingual developmental groove. It also crosses the occlusal surface and it is extended on the lingual surface, and this groove is present between the mesiolingual cusp and the distolingual cusp, right? So these are the grooves present on the occlusal surface, and by these grooves the occlusal surface is divided into different parts. So this is the portion of the mesiobuccal cusp, this is distobuccal cusp, this is distal cusp, this is mesiolingual cusp, and this is distolingual cusp. If you compare the size of the cusps, then mesiolingual cusp is the largest cusp. Two buccal cusps are almost equal. Then followed in descending order by the distolingual cusp, and the smallest is the distal cusp. Distal cusp is the smallest cusp. Largest is the mesiolingual cusp. Now you know the anatomy of the cusp. Here there is tip of the cusp. From tip of the cusp, the ridge descends towards the center. This is triangular ridge of the mesiobuccal cusp. On either side of the triangular ridge, you can see the inclined planes. This is tip of the mesiolingual cusp. From the tip of the mesiolingual cusp, a ridge descends towards the center of the occlusal surface. This is the triangular ridge of the mesiolingual cusp. On either side of the triangular ridge, you can see the inclined planes of the cusp. You can see that these two opposing triangular ridge, they meet each other. Triangular ridge of the mesiobuccal cusp and the triangular ridge of the mesiolingual cusp, they meet each other and they form a transverse ridge. Similarly, this is the tip of the distobuccal cusp. From tip of the distobuccal cusp, a ridge descends towards the center of the occlusal surface, towards the center. This is triangular ridge of the distobuccal cusp. On either side of the triangular ridge, you can see the inclined planes of the distobuccal cusp. This is tip of the distolingual cusp. A ridge descends from tip to the center. This is the triangular ridge of the distolingual cusp. On either side of the triangular ridge, you can see the inclined planes. Again, these two opposing triangular ridges, that is the triangular ridge of the distobuccal cusp and the triangular ridge of the distolingual cusp, they meet each other and they crosses the occlusal surface transversely. forming the transverse ridge, right? So there are two transverse ridges on the occlusal surface. This is the tip of the distal cusp. The tip of the distal cusp is located on the distal side. From tip of the distal cusp, from cusp tip, a ridge descends towards the center of the occlusal surface. This is the triangular ridge of the distal cusp. On either side of the triangular ridge, you can see the inclined planes of the distal cusp. So these are the cuspal ridges. This is mesial cusp ridge of the mesiobuccal cusp. This is distal cusp ridge of the mesiobuccal cusp. This is mesial cusp ridge of the distobuccal cusp. This is distal cusp ridge of the distobuccal cusp. This is buccal cusp ridge of the distal cusp. This is this is lingual cusp ridge of the distal cusp. This is distal cusp ridge of the distolingual cusp. This is mesial cusp ridge of the distolingual cusp. This is distal cusp ridge of the mesiolingual cusp, and this is mesial cusp ridge of the mesiolingual cusp. So these are the cuspal ridges. So three cuspal ridges of each cusp are visible from the occlusal aspect. Mesial and distal cuspal ridges as well as the triangular ridges of each cusp. Mesial cusp ridge, distal cusp ridge and the triangular ridge. Mesial cusp ridge, distal cusp ridge and the triangular ridge. Buccal cusp ridge, lingual cusp ridge and the triangular ridge. Mesial cusp ridge, distal cusp ridge, mesial cusp ridge and the triangular ridge. Distal cusp ridge, mesial cusp ridge and the triangular ridge, right? So three cuspal ridges of each cusp are seen from the occlusal aspect, right? This is distal marginal ridge. Distal marginal ridge is very small. This is mesial marginal ridge. Mesial marginal ridge is long. Distal marginal ridge is short. So this is boundary of the occlusal surface. Occlusal surface is bounded by cuspal ridges of all the cusps. Which cuspal ridges? Mesial and the distal cuspal ridges of all cusps, and the mesial marginal ridge and the distal marginal ridge, right? So occlusal surface boundary, it is bounded by the mesial cusp ridge and the distal cusp ridges of all the cusps, mesial marginal ridge and the distal marginal ridge. Now more of the buccal surface is visible from the occlusal aspect. Less of the lingual surface is visible from the occlusal aspect, right? So this is the portion of the buccal surface which is visible from the occlusal aspect. This is the portion of the lingual surface which is visible from the occlusal aspect, right? So more of the buccal surface is visible from the occlusal aspect, less of the lingual surface is visible from the occlusal aspect. Mesial and the distal surfaces are not visible from the occlusal aspect, right? So this completes the description of the occlusal aspect.